joining and dialing in right now. We are back with GOOYOW, Get Out of Your Own Way webinar series, the second webinar in our 15-minute webinar series today. We're going to be talking about registration do's and don'ts. It is a topic very near and dear to my heart. I have a particular affinity for peer-to-peer fundraising, event fundraising, and so when it comes to geeking out on how to make that user and participant registration experience as easy as possible for your participants, people coming to your event, I love to geek out on that stuff. For those of you who haven't joined us before, I am Taylor Shanklin. You can call me T Shank. That's what people call me here in the fundraising space, and my friends call me that. And I am the Director of Marketing Strategy here at Kimbia. Online fundraising is our jam, and my jam is coffee, chocolate, and digital trends. Follow us along, hashtag GOOYOW on the Twitter at Kimbia Inc. and at T Shank Cycles. And with that, let us get going with our 15 minutes. So just a quick recap for those who might be joining us for the first time today. In these 15 minutes, I'm going to be bringing practicality, 3 tips each time, things you can start doing now. Although the lovely glass ketchup jar is beautiful, the plastic squeeze bottle that's upright is more practical, and it still looks nice. So let's take that idea and that theme to what you're doing with your online registration for your events. Okay, so I want to do a poll here. For those of you Seinfeld fans out there, I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. Last week it was Steve Carell. This week it's Kramer. And I want to ask you a question. Could Kramer figure out how to register for your event? If he were to go online to your website and try to get through the registration process, do you think that Kramer would be able to do it? Let me know what you think. I'm going to launch that poll. And if anyone's up for some Seinfeld trivia, feel free to chat into the questions box, and I'll be happy to do some Seinfeld trivia at the end of this. Okay, so I'm going to close it out here in just a couple of seconds. 1, 2, 3. And let me close the poll. Okay, so 7% of you said yes for sure. That's great. 67% said maybe, and 27% said unlikely. So let's figure out some quick tips and tricks for you to make sure that Kramer can register and get through the process. Okay, so tip number 1. I talked about this last week about when we talked about donation forms, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit again. I think it's especially important on event registrations. Don't ask too many questions. You want people to get registered as quickly as possible, get through the process, because then after you've got them through the door, you have opportunities to engage with them and get more information after that and to cultivate that. So make it as easy as possible to get registered. Do ask for information in a follow-up survey. So I think keep your registration form. Let's say if you have like a walk or a run or a gala or a golf tournament, get all of the essential information that you absolutely have to have for that event, and then take the opportunity after the registration to survey them, maybe even make it like a fun survey with like a type form or something like that, where you can get them engaged in a fun way to give you some of that additional data. I like this example of this organization that uses Kimbia for their registration. A very big, bold register button right here. And on that same page, you click on it, and it's a very, very simple form. There are the registration types because this is a run event. There's an opportunity to make an additional donation, and then I think they ask for t-shirt size. So all of those things, and then of course the biographical information, just like name, email address. If you need phone number, ask for it. But if you aren't really going to use phone number, don't ask for it. Ask for it later. So that's my tip on not asking too many questions when you're trying to get people to get through that process of registering, so that you can then engage with them and cultivate with them after the fact. A great time to ask for more questions is right after they have gotten through the registration process, and say like, hey, what do you think about this? We could use a little bit more information. Or to send them a follow-up email, maybe a week later as an opportunity to engage with them. My other tip is to look for a tool that doesn't require a login during registration. Most of the tools out there do require this. The ones that have single sign-on, like with login with my Google or login with my Facebook, those make it easier. But a login is a large barrier to entry. And I'm going to show you an example of a registration without a login. Okay, so tip number 2 is don't leave them wondering what to do next. So they've registered, or maybe they're about to register. Set clear expectations. If this is an event where they're going to be fundraising leading up to it, or they have a minimum fundraising goal, or they, you want to coach people, maybe you have a fundraising goal of like $1,200 or something like that if you have an endurance event, or there's a gala and you're trying to get a certain number, or if there's a golf tournament and each foursome needs to raise a certain dollar amount. Set those expectations clearly at the beginning. Allow for them to set a fundraising goal during the registration process, and give them ideas on how much that fundraising goal will do. So this is something that I'm not seeing a lot. It's, set a goal, $200. But if you have an opportunity underneath that goal with some text on the webpage to say $200 will do X, and show the impact, that can give them some ideas for why they are raising that amount of money. And then immediately after registration, give them steps on what to do next. So on the follow-up thank you page, on the confirmation page, give them ideas such as share this on social. Okay, now go personalize your photo and personalize your story while you're doing this. If it's like a peer-to-peer type of event or campaign, where they're setting up a personal fundraising page in those examples. Tell them to share it on social, all of those things. This is just an example of an email follow-up that you would get right after the fact, one of those autoresponder emails where it says, just all of kind of the coaching on what they should do next. Jumpstart your fundraising, share this link on all of these channels. With Kimbia, you have the ability to copy your fundraising form directly into if they have a blog or a personal website or something like that. It's a great way to tell them what to do next, because so many people who are registering for your events, they're not like us. They're not fundraisers. They're not in this in a daily basis, and they need a little coaching. And just, what might seem obvious to you is not obvious to them. So make sure that you tell them exactly what to do next. Okay, tip number 3 is don't leave incentives off the table. Give discount codes, give incentives. People love a sale. They just do. It works. There's something about the psychology of if people think something is on sale, they're more likely to act now, to register. So let's say, here's an example of what you could do. Let's say you have a walk event and your registration fee is typically $25. What about making that registration fee $35 and then offering a discount code that gets you $10 off, and then running that in a certain time period so that people know, oh, if I register now, I can get the discount. Again, because it incentivizes them to get that registration done. And once you have that, they're engaged with you, you have their email address, If you've asked for it, you have their phone number. That's when you can then really start to engage and follow up with them. Okay, so how am I doing on time? I've got a few minutes left, so I'm going to show a couple of examples in action. I'm going to show one live example of an event for a run registration form, and one example of a gala. And again, thinking about the simplicity to register, thinking about if Cosmo Kramer were to land on this page, would he be able to get through the process? So let me get out to my, okay. So one thing, okay, here's the Casa Superhero Run. Love this one. Big button, very obvious. Click on register, and you're taken to a very simple form with a few options. Make an additional gift. You know, which program do you want this to go to? Asking for all of the basic biographical information that you need, but not a lot of extra stuff. And extremely fast and simplistic, but very good and effective at getting the data that you need and getting people through the process. Right after that, you click on continue, you confirm with your credit card, and you're done. Okay, so that's for like a race event. Again, there's no login required on this. A lot of times you'll see like a login at the beginning or create an account before you can register, but I love this because it doesn't have that barrier to entry. It's just simply the registration to get going and get fundraising. All right, so for a gala, similar thing. Let's go to attend over here on positive change. And again, this is a different type of event. If you've got a fundraising gala you do, again, very simple, clean, one-page form. You choose the type of tickets you want. Based on that, then if you're unable to attend, but you still want to support and give a donation, you can do that. If you're buying individual tickets, you can enter those in here. Enter in your guest information, enter in a discount code if you have that. Boom, no login required at the beginning of it, a single page, easy to do because there's just not a lot of steps in it. Last week with the donation form chat, we talked about reducing the number of steps in the process and having a single page donation page. I think that's extremely important with the registration pages too, to have one single page where you can get wham, bam, done, thank you, ma'am, and that registration is done in one single page, one single step. Okay, so that is what I've got for today on registration do's and don'ts. Next week, we are going to be talking about working on your core. And what I mean by that is taking your loyal supporters and turning them into returning or sustained giving donors. So, Kelly, do we have any questions in the chat?
We did. If you could go back a couple of slides to that last example.
This one?
Nope, forward to the demo site.
Oh, sure. Let me get back into my browser.
We had a question from Michelle asking how the three-column registration form translates into a mobile friendly.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So this is an example of a Kimbia site. It's all mobile responsive. So what it does is it gets linear. So instead of the three columns, you would just scroll down. So I believe that this column moves under here and this moves under here. In fact,
does
I can go.
Does that answer your question, Michelle?
Yeah, does that?
It'll
just
stack all of the information.
It'll stack it. In fact, I'm gonna check myself and make sure. I'm gonna go look at it now. One moment, please. Kelly, you can hum some Jeopardy music or something for us, maybe?
We do not have any other questions right now, but while you're looking that up, I did have a Seinfeld trivia question for you.
Oh, sweet. Love it.
How many seasons were there?
Oh, God. I should know this. I don't know. I'm stumped. Okay, I will admit, I have not been practicing Seinfeld trivia in a long time. So back in when I was in college, one of my best friends and I loved Seinfeld, and we used to go to the bar and sit and have beers and do Seinfeld trivia, and we could go for hours. But that was a long time ago, and maybe I drank too many beers and I don't remember. Um, I'll have to go look it up. I don't know. Let's Google it. How many Seinfeld seasons? There were so many. It's like Grey's Anatomy. It's like that show that never ended. Ooh, except Grey's Anatomy
9.
has more 9. Okay, I was gonna guess 7 or 8. Good one. Who stumped me?
That was me.
Well, that was you. Thanks a lot. Okay, so yeah, I was right. Exactly. It stacks it. So you'll just see each column the way that I kind of described. Got this happening. Where it would. Oh, sorry, I've got my browsers doing funny things here. Where it would just move this column underneath this one and this one underneath. So it just stacks it and makes it all vertical. Good question. Any other
Well,
questions?
thank you for your. I don't have any other questions right now.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this today. Thank you for joining us. Ooh, I was just a couple minutes over, probably because of the Seinfeld thing, but I think we did pretty well on time. So I hope that you'll join us next week for work on your core, and we'll talk about sustained giving programs. And then the last week, we're going to be talking about communication. I think one of the greatest inhibitors to growth and moving things forward within an organization can be communication, and so, or poor communication. So I'm going to talk about some tips and tools that can help you collaborate more effectively, particularly in a virtual world where sometimes you're communicating with someone on your mobile device when you're out of the office, or someone's working from home one day, or things like that. If you want to see a demo of some of the stuff that I showed and some of the examples that I showed today, reach out to us at info@kimbia.com, and we'd love to set up a phone call and have a chat. If you've got any questions for me specifically, or if you want a coffee mug, just reach out to me directly at taylor@kimbia.com. All right. Thanks for the GOOYOW. Have a great day.